Amazon Darren here, taking a look at the IMORDEN 4-foot-ish carbon fiber camera jib. Now this guy comes in at right around $200, which is pretty inexpensive considering that it's carbon fiber. Now the obvious draw is that it's a small, very packable. It comes with a pretty darn small case, which I wish was an inch longer. It's a little tight packing everything in there, but as you can see, it's really easy to pack with you. Short camera jibs I like because you can bring them in a lot more spaces, they can squeeze in a lot more spaces, and can still get you a lot of that jib movement, that jib motion, I should say. So even though this is not extended all the way, it still gets below waist height to above the average or even way above average human height. And this, as I just mentioned, is not fully extended. Fully extended, it wouldn't fit inside this frame right now. So each of these sections is like 16 or 18 inches long, and the end section is not extended. So you can imagine it gets even a little bit longer. Let's jump right to the back. This is the weight bar. It comes apart for storage in the shorter bag, the shortest amount of space, and there's a lot of threads on this lock, so it takes a while to actually screw it all the way on and screw it all the way off. But once it is on, it does extend for big adjustments out a pretty decent bit. And then this weight bar, it has something I really like, but first in the back, I don't really like that you have to screw this whole thing all the way off. That's a bit annoying. I wish it was some sort of clamp style or clip-in style. But once you get that off, you do have these really awesome like oversized threaded screws, which are great for both keeping the weights on, as you can see, even though that's off, the weights are going nowhere, but for making quick adjustments. Like say right now, it looks like we're front heavy, so let's just take this, move these guys back, maybe a little more, totally locked in, not going anywhere. So I really like that as a fine adjustment. Now, the other nice thing is that this is the same size as this standard, I think it's 1-inch gym plate, so you can always add more weight to it. So moving up, let's go into the lock sections, or the section locks, I should say. The metal of them feels nice. They feel nice and strong. The main issue I have with them is actually just the rubber that goes on top of them. It doesn't feel like it was made for these properly. One's already kind of cracked a little bit, and they'll keep rotating even after you've already locked them, making it seem like the lock section's constantly rotating and rotating. So it's not a huge deal. Even if I just rip them off, I can still get good grippage on the metal locks themselves, but it just seems like something that should easily be remedied on the manufacturing end. But that being said, it feels really nice and strong. Let's go over here really quick. For the main plate, for the camera end, or the tripod end plates, you've got a 3/8 inch and 2/4 20 taps, which is nice. You got some options. I should point out that I am using an incorrect tripod for this. You want to use a very beefy tripod because this is a lot of weight you're putting onto it. Never use the tilt on your tripod. Lock the tilt in, that's the first thing you should do, and make sure you've got a good, smooth, fluid pan on your tripod head. But yeah, I'm just using this as a quick demonstration of what not to use because, as you can see, wobbles all over the place. That's why I'm not mounting any big weights or cameras to this. So staying on this pillar, one of the things I like on this that I did not see on my older one is that it's got this very nice beefy looking brackets completely encasing this main extension arm. Moving up to the end, we've got the same kind of things I was just talking about, just some little spacers in there, but they contour to the round shape of the tube, which is nice. You've also got 1/4 20 taps, as I'm demonstrating here with this friction arm, which I don't have tightened down very well. You've also got 3/8 inch taps over there. Same idea over here. You've got 3/8 on the top, 1/4 20 on the bottom. Really nice that that's there. Makes it easy as heck to attach any sort of accessories, lights, mics, if you really want to do that, or monitors for monitoring things. And I don't know why I put this on here, just threw that egg timer for the GoPro. But one thing I should mention is that this is an Arca Swiss style quick release plate that it comes with. However, it's really strange in that it's Arca Swiss style, so it's obviously drop in and then you tighten it down. If you unscrew this just a few more turns past opening by accident, the whole thing pops out, springs and all. There's no stopper, which there usually is a stopper. So that's a little strange. I got two major nitpicks. The first one is that you have 4 8 knobs for adjusting either lock or drag. And that's just way too many, and it's just a little too fiddly. I think this end should not have any adjustment knobs whatsoever. And then over here, this should be where the drag or the lock is controlled, and this main bracket where all the weight is really centered upon. Unfortunately, it works least well on this for the drag. For locking the whole thing in place, works totally fine. But for adding drag to this, you really can't, because this is the one connection which it's metal to metal. So adding any sort of drag, it just feels gritty. So I've, for the moment, consorted to just using the bottom one, which again has just those nylon or plastic spacers in the middle. So at least that's nylon or, again, plastic. I'm not sure which type of plastic. It's not rubbing nearly as much on the metal. It's fairly smooth in the drag. I've wanted to add my own plastic spacers in there to improve on this, but there's just not enough space. But what I definitely am going to do is go to the hardware store and get some lock nuts. Lock nuts, they look like regular, nuts for a bolt, but they've got a nylon washer on the end of them, so when you attach them, they stay in place. They don't go anywhere. These, as you can see, it looks like these are just, both washer style screw-ons, not knobs, that's the word. But this one, the ones on these sides are just like nuts. They come all the way off of the bolt, but this side is actually the head of the bolt. So those stay on and it keeps rotating with that. So on this side of the 3 of these, or at least just the 2 of these for now, I'm gonna get lock nuts and put them on here. I'm not gonna tighten them so that it's adding any friction. I'm just gonna tighten them so that these 2 are absolutely just for, alignment and stability, not for drag or lock of the whole system. So that brings us to my last nitpick, which is the biggest one I have, and it exists, I think, for all tube style jibs, and it's really kind of annoying. Whenever you're extending or retracting a section, you obviously have to loosen them up. And since they're tubes, they can go like that. Yeah, it's really, I think, the biggest downside to this style of jib. So hopefully someone over at IMORDEN, however you want to pronounce it, is figuring out how to improve upon that. Speaking of improve upon, IMORDEN provided me this for review, and they have been very good about back and forth and taking in my input and trying to figure out how they can improve upon all the things that I have issues with. That's really refreshing and nice to see that they actually want to improve it and not just, keep shoving it out there as is. So that is cool. That pretty much does it for this. So that is the IMORDEN camera jib that is in carbon fiber, and I am Amazon Darren. Go shoot something pretty. Film something pretty. Shoot, that's not a good word to use these days. Film something pretty. I love reviewing, and if you have a product or service you would like reviewed, get in touch and I will give it the full run through.